if you are online doing some looking around for one of the best places to live in all of the state of Texas and the greater Houston area, you've probably come across the Woodlands, Texas. And this video is going to detail 17 things you absolutely need to know when considering living in the Woodlands, Texas. So let's get to it right now. What is up, everybody? My name is Jake Johnston. I am with the JJ Home Group, brokered by eXp Realty. Hey, and if this is your first time visiting the channel, take a sec, hit the subscribe button and smash that bell because you will definitely want to be notified anytime we put out a new video. We're constantly updating this channel with great content about everything you'll want to know when it comes to living, working, eating, sleeping, playing, thriving anywhere in the greater Houston area. And I'm talking to people every single day that are thinking about moving to the area. So whether you're thinking about selling, buying, or investing anywhere in the greater Houston area, I've got your back. So reach out to me today or even sooner. Let's jump into our list and get going on breaking down the 17 things you will want to know when considering living in the Woodlands, Texas. So number one, let's nail down the location. So the Woodlands is its own township. It's located 30 miles directly north on Interstate 45 from downtown Houston. It's also about 20 minutes from Bush Intercontinental Airport and primarily is located in Montgomery County, but there is a couple of sections of the Woodlands, and we'll get into this, that spread into Harris County as well. All right, so we got location out of the way. Number two, let's dive into a little bit of the thought process and the vision and creation behind the Woodlands, because it's highly important when you look at the community in the way it's laid out. So the Woodlands is actually the first master plan community in the state of Texas, and it's actually the model in which a lot of other neighborhoods have been created after, because of the success that George Mitchell, who hatched this whole idea back in the 1970s, he came up with this, and his thought process and his planning was absolutely genius. And I'm gonna break this down for you a little bit here. So beginning at the front of the Woodlands, which would be closest to Interstate 45, Mr. Mitchell was actually smart enough and forward thinking enough that he wanted all of the commercial and retail space to be accessible right up in the front of the Woodlands. So even those folks coming from other parts of the community, they could get to the mall, the Waterway, Hughes Landing, shopping and dining. All these places that I'm going to talk about a little bit further are accessible right off of Interstate 45. Now, the vision of the Woodlands was actually to create an all-encompassing and self-sustaining community where its residents could not only live, but also work and play and eat and thrive all in the same community without having to make the commute down into the big old city, down into Houston. And in addition to creating this all-encompassing and self-sustaining community, Mr. Mitchell wanted to be very careful to preserve the natural forested beauty of the area. And that is why 28% approximately of the Woodlands will be permanently dedicated to green space, open space, parks, trail systems, golf courses, and things like that. And as you drive through the community, you can easily see how well this worked, because even the shopping centers and different places and schools that you're driving down, they're tucked back in the trees, and you don't even know you're driving up on them until you get there. It's a naturally beautiful place to live and raise a family. So that speaks a little bit to the vision. So let's fast forward to today. And item number three, you'll want to know, in general, the population of the Woodlands is currently at about 118,000 residents and growing every single day. Now that also includes 2,200 different businesses, including the home and headquarters to several of the world's Fortune 500 companies. And all of these opportunities in retail and job creation adds up to over 70,000 jobs locally based right here in the Woodlands. So item number four, we're gonna talk a little bit about commercial and retail. I talked about it a little bit at the front of the video, but the things you'll wanna know again is that everything is pretty centrally located, almost like the hub that Mr. Mitchell created and envisioned in his plan. And this is different areas. It's over 5,000 acres of commercial and retail and dining space up at the front part of the Woodlands. So a couple of areas of interest that you don't want to miss are the Woodlands Waterway, which is actually used to be an old drainage ditch that Mr. Mitchell drew up this plan on the cocktail napkin actually to convert this drainage ditch into a beautifully flowing natural riverway lined with shopping and dining and different options that you can just take a stroll right down there, find some great restaurants, great place to hang out and have some dinner and some drinks, and really enjoy the atmosphere that he visioned and really built out to perfection. A couple of other places you'll want to check out would be Hughes Landing, which is a more recent development by the Howard Hughes Corporation, which is actually on Lake Woodlands. and it's got several dining options, some high-class restaurants like Trulux, Del Frisco's, and Escalante's Mexican food as well. There's also Class A commercial and retail space available, along with a few luxury apartments and condominiums that overlook Lake Woodlands. And then two areas also worth mentioning are going to be the Market Square, which is a really cool place that you can do some walking and check out some shops and different dining options as well, along with retail and business space there too. But the Woodlands Mall is another place not to miss. And it is actually a regional hub for shopping for folks from all around Conroe, Spring, different parts that'll come to the Woodlands Mall to enjoy the indoor and outdoor shopping that they have available there. All right, so item number 5, after kind of going over the different retail and commercial spaces in the Woodlands, pretty much the rest of the Woodlands that isn't either green space or commercial and retail are going to be dedicated to housing development. Now, it was really smart the way he did all this, because they're subdivided out into 9 different villages throughout the Woodlands. The first of which was developed on the onset in the 1970s, which is the village of Grogan's Mill, all the way up to the most recent addition back in 2017, which is the village of Creekside Park, which is actually located in Harris County, but still part of the Woodlands Township. So moving right along to item number 6, did you know that the Woodlands is actually a 2-time defending champion of the claim to be the #1 most highly desired place to live in the entire United States? So this was put together by niche.com, and they took a whole bunch of different data points into consideration coming up with this determination. Things like reviews from local residents, also the quality of local education, crime rates, housing trends over the last few years, as well as employment opportunities and access to the various amenities around the Woodlands. So big props to the Woodlands for coming to be a 2-time defending champion both in 2021 and 2022 for the #1 place to live in all of the United States. Okay, so we know that the Woodlands is a great place to live. Now, let's talk a little bit about another piece of the vision that George Mitchell had all the way back when he started the inception of the Woodlands, and that was incredible access to public education for its residents. So item number 7, we're going to talk about the schooling in the Woodlands, Texas. So today, the Woodlands actually has an acclaimed 23 different public schools and 10 private school options to all of its residents in the Woodlands. And it doesn't stop there. The Woodlands is dedicated to a lifetime of learning, offering opportunities at every level, from preschool, primary, secondary school, as well as college and graduate programs as well. Actually, in 1995, the Montgomery College was founded in the Woodlands, which is now known as the Lone Star College campus in Montgomery. And in addition to that, Sam Houston State University also has a Woodlands campus as well. So I know if you're going to go online and do some research about the public schools and private school options in the Woodlands, no doubt you're going to come up with some incredible school rankings. So number 8, we're going to dive into some specific schools and talk a little bit about their rankings and how they compare around the region and around the state. So the first thing we're going to look at is one of the most prestigious private school institutions in the entire state, which is the John Cooper School. They were founded in 1988. They rank number 2 in all of the greater Houston area and actually top 5 in the entire state of Texas. And with the graduation rate of 100%, they offer schooling options all the way from the preschool level up to the 12th grade level as seniors in high school. And is definitely voted one of the best rated college prep schools in the entire country. Now, being that it is a private school, there is some tuition costs which can be a little bit expensive. And the average tuition cost at the John Cooper School is right around $29,000 a year. And of course, there is financial aid available for those of you considering that option. Now let's pivot a little bit and look at public schools, and we'll break down the Woodlands High School real quick for you guys. So again, according to niche.com, the Woodlands High School constantly receives A+ ratings, and it is one of the premier public schools in the entire state when it comes to academics and athletics as well. And the Woodlands High School has an average enrollment of roughly about 4,300 kids per year, and actually has an 18-to-1 student to teacher ratio. So despite the enormous graduating classes every single year, there are plenty of teachers to go around and give these students the necessary attention that they need to excel in their entire academic career. All right, moving along to item number 9, let's talk about the great outdoors. We referenced all the great green space available in the Woodlands, so let's look at the real numbers behind that and what does that translate to area residents. So there's actually over 220 miles of hike and bike trail throughout the Woodlands, approximately 148 parks, 7 different championship golf courses, 14 community pools, 6 splash pads, and 76 tennis courts. So if there is any lack of abundance, it is not here in the Woodlands, Texas. The residents love to get outside and use their community amenities to their advantage to enjoy the peace and quiet and the natural beauty that George Mitchell originally designed for this great community. And sticking with the theme of outdoor recreation, item number 10, we're going to talk about Lake Woodlands, which is a 200-acre freshwater lake where you can get out and enjoy fishing, kayaking, and stand-up paddleboarding, just to name a few. And if you don't own your own watercraft, don't worry, because there are rentals available. You'll want to check out either the Riva Row or Lake's Edge boathouses. So moving on to item number 11, which is kind of centered around Lake Woodlands. Every year, the Memorial Hermann hosts the Texas Ironman Championships right here in the Woodlands. And this has been going on over the last 10 years, and it takes place at the end of April. But there are competitors and triathletes from all over the country that come down to the Woodlands to enjoy this event. And if you're not familiar with what an Ironman race really consists of, it is an incredible test of endurance and strength for these guys. Over the entire course, the race consists of a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, and a 26.2 mile run. Now, if that isn't a way to test your mental strength and your physical endurance, I just don't know what is. And through the Ironman Texas, they actually do offer qualifying spots for the Ironman World Championships, which is held in Hawaii every year. Moving along to item number 12. About living in the Woodlands. There are all the great community events that the entire Woodlands Township puts on throughout the year. And I'll go through and hit a couple as a highlight, but you can definitely check out their website online and get a full calendar list of all the great community events that the Woodlands puts out each year. First one you want to check out happens in April every single year, and it's the Woodlands Waterway Art Festival. All along the Waterway, artists from around the region bring their art on display. The weather's always great in April, and it's a great time to just stroll up and down the Waterway and check out some great local art. And also in October of every year is the Woodlands Wine Walk that takes place at Market Street every year. And that's a phenomenal week where you can walk around Market Street tasting and sampling different wines from around the region. And a few sporting events I want to highlight. I talked a little bit about the Ironman Texas every year, but don't forget about the Prosperity Invitational Golf Tournament, which takes place at the Woodlands Country Club every year. And one of my personal favorites is the Muddy Bowl Crawfish Boil that happens every February. They kick off the week with a 5K mud run through the George Mitchell Preserve, and it culminates in a huge party down at Rob Fleming Park with a huge crawfish boil for the whole community. Moving along to item number 13, one of my personal favorite topics, let's talk about real estate and what it costs to own a home here in the Woodlands. So if you've been tracking real estate trends anywhere across the country over the last 12 months, you've probably seen a lot of the same things. We've got record low inventory, incredible appreciation rates, really tight market all the way around the country. So a lot of it is the same here in the Woodlands. So let's hit some real numbers. Right now, as of March 2022, the average home price in the Woodlands is right around $700,000. Now, there's about 14 days average days on market, so homes are selling pretty quick. And over the last 12 months, we've seen an appreciation rate of roughly 21%, which is incredible, which I think speaks to the high demand and high quality of homes here around the Woodlands. Now, the biggest key factor to watch is they have about 1/2 month of inventory available on the market. So what that means is that if we saw no new homes hit the market over the span of the next 30 days, it would actually only take about 2 weeks to sell every single home on the market. Now, I'll speak to this. There are still some great opportunities out there for homeownership in the Woodlands. My best piece of advice to you, team up with a great local agent that can help guide you through the process step by step, help find the right properties that meet your needs at the highest level, and then help you structure your offer in a way which will stand out to home sellers and help you lock down the property that you want without having to go into these crazy bidding wars, going crazy over list price and everything else we're hearing about. And if you are in the market, scroll down in the description. There is a link where you can find every single home listed for sale in today's market in the Woodlands. All right, moving along to item number 14, also has to do with overall cost of living and homeownership in the Woodlands. Let's talk about property taxes. The great thing about the Woodlands is that its property tax rate is one of the lowest in the area, if not the entire state. With an average tax rate of 2.2%, your property taxes are going to be a lot more affordable than a lot of other places, especially new homes these days. We're seeing anywhere between 3 and 4% property tax rates on new construction. So the Woodlands having an average property tax rate of 2.2% goes a long way for your cost of living each month and your affordability as far as a housing payment. Another factor to keep an eye on as far as overall cost of living is sales tax. Here in the Woodlands, we have an 8.25% sales tax. Pure and simple. Item number 16, and this is a question I get from a lot of people. Does the Woodlands have a homeowners association? And the direct answer is no, so you don't have an annual fee that you pay each year as a homeowner's fee. But what it does have, and I referenced earlier that there's 9 different villages around the Woodlands, and each village is actually kind of its own independent operating group, if you will, where they have their own sets of bylaws, architectural review committees, and these boards are actually appointed by local residents similar to what you would see in any other HOA, but the nice thing is you don't have an additional fee for that governorship and for that architectural review committee, which helps to keep the consistency and building materials and things like that around the Woodlands. Now, one thing I'll say is the Woodlands loves its green space. We talked about that. So if you are planning to put in a pool or something like that in your own backyard, you definitely want to get approval from your village's architectural review committee when it comes to removing trees. Last but not least, item number 17, one of my favorite things about the Woodlands is the Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion. Now, this is an outdoor amphitheater right here in the Woodlands, and it always ranks in the top 10 as far as outdoor amphitheaters around the entire world. It attracts world-class acts every year, and it's one of my personal favorite places to see a show. It's a pretty good size amphitheater. It has a maximum capacity about 16,500 people. Now, 6,500 of that is actually reserved covered seating, and it's going to be located a little bit closer to the stage. So that leaves the remaining 10,000 people that can come in under general admission and hang out in the lawn and still get a great vantage point and view and a little bit of room to dance around. So that wraps things up, guys, for the 17 things you will definitely want to know when considering moving to the Woodlands, Texas. I hope you found this information helpful, and don't forget that if you guys are thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate anywhere in the greater Houston area, I've got your back, and you need to reach out to me today or even sooner. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you stay tuned for a lot of our other videos that come out every single week.